Compare the domain and range as well as any intercepts if they exist of the functions graphed below. Write domain and range as inequalities, intervals, and in set builder notation. Okay, so let's first just point out a couple things on the graph. So we see it's the same graph as the last you tried example, and so they are, these two lines are a reflection across line y equals x. They're a mirror image across that line. And let's go ahead and just point out the intercepts that we see. We see on f of x, we have the x-intercept at negative 5, 0. And we see on g of x, we have the y-intercept at 0, negative 5. And we can't see the other two intercepts, so we'll have to find those. Also looking at the domain, we see that on g of x goes from left to right for infinity, and it also goes from the bottom to the top, negative infinity to positive infinity. Same thing with the f of x, from negative infinity to positive infinity on the range and also the domain. It'll keep going left forever, keep going right forever. With cubic and cube root functions, then it's always all real numbers for both the domain and the range. So let's go ahead and just fill out the rest of this and write it all down. So for domain and range, we just talked about how that's just f of x, excuse me. So we just talked about how that's all real numbers, and so we do need to write it as inequalities, intervals, and in set builder notation. So for the domain, it'll be negative infinity is less than x is less than positive infinity, and this will again be for both functions since they're both the same and they both have all real numbers. And then for the range, it'll be negative infinity is less than y is less than positive infinity. Again, not putting equal to because these are not set values. And then for interval notation, we just use parentheses, negative infinity to positive infinity, and that works for both domain and range. And then for set builder notation, we'll have the set of x's such that x is a member of the real number set, and basically saying that x is going to be all real numbers. And then we'll say the same thing for y. So the set of y's such that y is a member of the real numbers. So there are domain ranges. Now for the x and y intercepts, we did see f of x had an x-intercept at negative 5, 0. And then the y-intercept of g of x we saw was 0, negative 5. And we can find the y-intercept of f of x. It's not shown in the graph, but we know we can solve for it because we know that for y-intercepts, x equals 0. So we can just plug in 0 to our equation for f of x. So if we plug in 0, we get f of 0 equals 0 plus 5 cubed. 0 plus 5 is just 5 cubed is 125. So our y-intercept will be 0, 125. And then for the x-intercept of g of x, we know that y will equal 0. So we can plug in 0 instead of g of x into our equation. So we have 0 equals the cube root of x minus 5. And then to solve for x here, we can add 5 to get that to the other side. So we have 0 plus 5 is 5 equals the cube root of x. And then again, to get rid of this cube root, we can raise both sides to the third power. So we have 5 cubed is 125 equals, and then the cube root and the third power cancel, and we just have equals x. So our answer for the x-intercept will be 125, 0. Okay, so notice here that our x and y intercepts on both of these equations are inverses. We have 0, 125 for the y on the top, 125, 0 for the x on the bottom, and then negative 5, 0, and 0, negative 5. And so these are an inverse function. We can go ahead and put our final answer. The answer is the cubic function f of x and the cube root function g of x are inverses of one another. The graphs of the functions are reflections over the line y equals x. The domain and range of both functions contain all real numbers. Written negative infinity is less than x is less than infinity, and negative infinity is less than y is less than infinity, respectively. As an interval negative infinity to infinity, and using set builder notation, the set of x is such that x is a member of the real numbers, and the set of y is such that y is a member of the real numbers. The x-intercept of f of x is negative 5, 0, and the y-intercept of g of x is 0, negative 5. The y-intercept of f of x is 0, 125, and the x-intercept of g of x is 125, 0.